Hello everyone, how you all going? Matt Ross at Simple Strength Training here again. This is my diary for week 8 of my prep for my 2 competitions. I've got one to go, and that's the GPC Cup at Southern Strength and Conditioning at Seaford on Sunday the 13th of November. Lifting starts about 11 a.m. Come on down, have a gander if you've got nothing else on that day. If you're just down south and you want to fill an hour or two, drop in, see if you like it. It's good fun. Everyone there has a good time and it's a great atmosphere. This week in the diary, we will be looking at basically my preparation through my last week of training leading up to the comp, how it's gone. Also, we'll look at what is my plan for after the competition, how I'm going to sort of structure my training. I give you a brief outline on, say, one of the days goes. They're going to follow a pretty similar structure with a couple of different things. I'm going to try some new stuff in there just to see how it goes and see how my body reacts to it that I haven't done before. But before we get into all that, I'd just like to say thank you for the people who started subscribing to my channel. Thank you very much. I've increased my subscribers from the last time by about 500%. Huge growth, massive growth, awesome growth from 2 to 10. Quadrupled that number. Well done. Let's see if I can keep that trend going. A few more subscribers would be great, but what I'd really appreciate if you could is chuck in some comments down the bottom as well. I'm still a virgin on that area. No one's sort of chucked anything at me yet. Any squirrely ones, any good feedback, bad feedback, just get in there, chuck it down the bottom and have your say. Also, if you do like what you're seeing and hearing and what I'm putting out at the moment, hit the like button down the bottom, subscribe and share me around with your friends. If you don't like what you're seeing at the moment, get in the comments. Give me a dig. Get in there. But yeah, please comment. Feel free to comment. Alrighty. That's pretty much the housekeeping part of it taken care of. So let's get on with how my diary went for the week. So my diary for the week has turned out really, really well. My lifts for the week turned out really, really well. Don't know how the diary's going to turn out. Hopefully pretty good. Throughout the week, over the last 7 days, I've hit a few PBs, which is making me feel a little bit confident going into this week's competition that I'm going to on track to hit my targets that I'm aiming for, which I'll go into a little bit in a second. But I hit a squat PB for 180 for 2 singles, which is 5 kilos more than what I did at the Eurostern Cup a couple of weeks ago. So I'll see how they go again this week. If I hit them again this week, I'll work them into my plan. My bench press, I hit 113 kilos for 2 singles there as well, which is a few kilos more than I did at the Eurostern Cup. Still marching and moving towards that 115 kilos, so that's the next step, hit that one. Hopefully this weekend's the weekend for that. I haven't hit 113 for a double yet. That would have made me feel a bit more confident, but hey, I'm hitting it for singles and it's better than I've ever hit before, so I'm pretty happy with that. Also, my deadlift, I did that for 210 for a double. So that basically means when I say two singles, that's 2 separate sets of 1 lift. And when I say a double, that's 2 reps or 2 lifts within the 1 set. So the double I hit for 210 kilos on my heavy deadlift, which was the same as what I hit for a single at the Eurostern Cup at 618 barbell. That was my best then, so I'm sort of hoping that sort of jumped up a bit, and I'm going to leave that one for a bit of surprise on the day for everyone that's watching and what I'm going to attempt on that one. And that will also vary depending on how my other lifts go, where I start and what I do for that lift as well. But overall, my lifts for this week were all progressing really, really well. I did start to feel a little bit fatigued this week, actually, whether that was the change in temperature with the heat coming up a little bit. But it sort of, I felt a bit drained, felt a bit down, so it sort of made me sort of think that either it was the heat or I'm actually coming to the end of the run and I'm timing my peak pretty close to where it needs to be. I started taking it a little bit easier to help get the recovery kicking in a bit better, just to make sure I feel okay. As I did with the first comp, I'll do the same process where I will stop. My last lift day will be tomorrow, which at the time of recording this will be Tuesday, the week before the competition. And I'll take those 5 days off as a deload leading into the competition on Sunday. I will do a light day either Thursday or Friday in there. That'll be sort of around about that 75% mark. And as I said last week in my diary, that on that day, my squat and my deadlifts I do at 75%, but I also like to hit my opener on the bench press for 1 rep. Even though normally I can do anywhere from 3 to 5 reps of that one. Pardon me. I try to hit that one for 1 rep just to make myself feel confident with the bench press. And that's also because by the time the comp comes around, I've only done that 1 rep, then I drop back to 75%. My body recovers pretty good from that with the chest work. So that's my plan for that. And outside of that, and other than that little bit of fatigue that I was talking about and taking care of that by resting a bit more, trying to make sure I got a bit more recovery in, the week went really, really well, and it's making me feel quietly confident going into next week. You never know what will happen on the day. That could change. The walls could come tumbling down all around you. Anything could happen. Everything being equal, I'm still feeling a little bit confident for the day, and hopefully it'll go well. And hopefully I'll see you all there coming down to support everyone that's lifting. Everyone works hard for these to go to these comps. Most people that are there, or just about all people there, it's a personal challenge, not a big on competition. It's nice to win and all that sort of stuff, and everyone is trying to do their best to try and get the best result they can. But first and foremost, most people that are lifting in there are lifting to beat themselves, and that's the what can you say about that? That's just an awesome thing that people train so hard just to improve themselves, just that little bit. And for a lot of people, they put in a lot of effort with their training just to get a little bit better. And hats off to those people. They work really hard and they're very committed. But hopefully I'll see you all down there. There will more than likely be a food truck, or there always is a food truck and a coffee van of some description. And now I'll probably go into having a bit more of a look at what my plan is for after the competition and over the off season. Okay, so my plan for what I'm going to be doing after this upcoming competition. My long-term plan, as I discussed last week, over the next few months leading up to my next competitions next year, will be broken up into my outlook on the training and how it works, into my make them bigger, make them stronger, show them off phases. So my make them bigger phase is going to be that 3 or 4 months after I finish this competition. And that's going to be made up of some training to bring up some areas that I think I need some work on. And those areas that I need the most work on, I think, will be my legs, number 1, and my chest, number 2. My back, I feel, or my deadlifts, if you want to look at them from the powerlifting point of view, my squat, my bench press, and my deadlift, I just say my legs, my chest, and my back. And I feel like I said, my legs need to come up the most to improve my squat, because that's where I feel I'm sort of lagging a little bit behind everything. My chest, second. I feel that needs to come up and get a bit stronger. So I actually feel that's probably lagging a lot behind my other 2 lifts. So I think I need to do a lot of work on that. And then a bit of shoulder work with a bit of arm work tied in there. And I'll vary how much I do through each of them, through the phases, just to give each of them a bit of a focus. But the main 2 focuses will be on my legs and my chest. My back and my deadlift work will pretty much stay the same, as I think that's progressing quite well at the moment, and I'm really happy with how that's going. How I'm going to achieve that is I'm going to follow a power building routine. Now, power building routine is nothing new. It's probably a fancy name that's been chucked on something over the last few years that's been around for many, 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 many years. I first heard about it through a bloke called Andy Baker, listening to his podcasts and watching his videos on YouTube. Power building is a combination program, more or less. The best way to explain it is of strength with a bit of bodybuilding chucked in it, and you vary how much of each you want in there depending on what your goals are. It's not a bodybuilding specific program, and it's not a powerlifting specific program. It's just a combination of them both. For me, I like to follow a power building program using upper lower process, which gives me a 4-day workout, which allows me a bit of variation which allows me to vary my lifting days according to my schedule of work and that sort of stuff if I have to. But normally I just do an upper day, a lower day, have a break, an upper day, a lower day, then have 2 days off. But if my schedule changes for whatever reason, depending on my daytime job and my coaching job, I can move those days around to suit. It also gives me a little bit of flexibility if I want to chuck in a little bit more of extra work somewhere just to help out. It gives me enough recovery time if I've in there as well. And I also gauge how my recovery is going with the work I'm doing. So a power building process, like I said, is just something that's been around for a long time. If you're unfamiliar with what one is, I'll very quickly go through with it. You do a first lift, which is basically, say for me, as an example with powerlifting, if it was bench press, I do my competition bench first. I do a variation of the competition bench second, but in that higher rep range, in a slightly higher rep range. Then do some other work that complements your body, as in maybe do some back work so it doesn't interfere too much with your bench day. And then do some more, a little bit more, say, lighter variation work with really high rep work to help bring up some muscle mass. And then some accessory work or smaller muscle group work is a good way to say accessory work. So when people generally say accessory work, they generally mean they're focusing on the smaller muscle groups, where your back and your leg muscles, like your quads and quadriceps and your hamstrings, would be major muscle groups. Smaller muscle groups like your biceps, the triceps, your shoulder muscles, which are also called deltoids, and things like your traps and that. Getting more specific is basically what they mean by accessory work. Focusing in or getting more targeted on specific muscles. And a little bit of that in. I'd like to bring up, like I said, my shoulders and my arms a bit, and I'll work them through with the program. That's the main definition of what a power building program is. It's not one or the other, it's a combination of the both, and I find it works okay for me. That might change as the future goes on. As I've always said, use what's working for you while it's working for you, and change it when it stops working for you. It's a good plan to go by, but don't chop and change too quickly, and don't sit on something too long. If you've been doing something for 3 to 4 months or 3 to 5 months and you stop seeing progress in the last 2-3 months, and the second half of that, and it hasn't stopped progressing, change an exercise out. See if that makes a difference. Change your rep range. Do something like that. Anyway, don't want to get away from that. That's more of an in-depth training video. We'll just stick with what I'm doing here. So to give you a breakdown of what I'm going to do with that, I'm going to hit my competition lift on that day for 1 set. I'm going to keep that at a 3 to 5 rep range. And it's going to be in the same style as the competition lift itself. So a low bar squat for me is my competition lift. The pause bench as you're doing a competition, I'm using the same technique, and the regular deadlift. I'm only going to do these for 1 set at the start of each of those workouts. And that's the reason for that is because I find that if I spend too long away from the actual competition style or technique lifting, I lose my skill in it very quickly because I haven't been doing it for that long. So I want to keep them in through this make them bigger stage so I can keep my technique level or skill level at doing those lifts up a little bit higher. So when it comes time to transition into the strength work, which is make them stronger and the showing them off period, it'll be an easier transition for me. Then I'm going to do a variation of that competition lift, something that's very similar to it but not too far away from it, and that might be basically just a bench press without the pause and just running through that for higher reps. It's very similar to the competition bench press but a little bit different. It doesn't have the same wear and tear on your body, and it stops that fatigue of overuse that you get from doing the same thing over and over and over and over again. Eventually, when you do the same thing over and over and over again, your progress will slow on that. That's what I was talking about, when you change. So then you've got to change something to keep it progressing. So that 1 set will just keep my skill level up and touching it, and keep that strength part of it progressing. and keeping my neurological systems used to handling the heavy weight that you need to stay used to handling heavy weights for powerlifting. And then I can move into some more higher rep work to build up some of the muscle mass to go with that. And for me, that'll either be something like a barbell flat bench with no pause, maybe a slightly narrow grip, slightly like one hand width inside the competition, just to bring a bit more focus directly onto the chest, that sort of thing. Incline press, it might be even an incline bench press. Either way, one of them two. My next exercise will be a back exercise or a pull exercise, because the first two exercises will be a push one where you push the barbell away, that's a push, and I want to do a pull, either a vertical pull, which is a pull coming from above your head, or a horizontal pull, which is a pull coming out from in front of you towards you. And they could either be, the vertical pulls are things like lat pull downs on the lat pull down machines. You've always seen those ones at the bars where you pull them down to your chest, or a chin up or a pull up. Either one of them is a vertical pull. You could also do horizontal pulls, row, seated row or a barbell row. I'll work one of them in, and I might superset them or work them in with a superset with some more chest work, maybe a dumbbell press to at higher rep work in between them, just to help cut down on the work time. Then after that, I'll do some accessory work or more muscle group focused work, whether that be directly for my shoulders, rear delts, because I figure my front delts will get a reasonable workout. I could superset all that sort of stuff together, but it'll be focusing on my arms and my shoulders to try and bring them up. Which areas I'll sit down and work that into my plan as I go and see how that works. It might be a fair bit of extra shoulder work to bring my shoulders up a bit bigger. Normally in doing so, you get a fair bit of arm work in that with the accessory work as well, so I won't have to do as much as that. But we'll work that out as it goes. Now, but through this, I'm going to try a slightly different progression method with my muscle building process than what I've tried before. In the past, I've followed pretty straightforward linear progressions or double progressions, where linear progression is you just keep adding weight each week, or a linear progression where, you just keep adding weight each time. That's a linear progression, or a double progression where you use a rep and weight scheme to progress your weights. I'm going to try for a volumizing scheme or style. And basically, volumizing is a fancy way of saying just increasing the number of sets I do for those exercises each week. So as an example, week one I might, and this is not how I'm going to do it, this is just to explain how volumizing works. Week one, you might do 1 set of 10 squats. Then week two, you'll do 2 sets of 10 squats. Then week 3, you'll do 3 sets of 10 squats. Then week 4, you'll do 4 sets of 10 squats. And then week 5, you'll come back and start with the 1 set of 10 squats. And the reason I'm going to try this is through that, it also sort of works in a slight deload as well. So as you go through the 4 weeks, you come back to the start, you're only doing 1 set of those exercises or 1 or 2 sets of those exercises. So the stress on the body will be much less and give your body a little bit of a break and allow you to build up again through that. I might just use them for the main exercises themselves and just keep with the standard sets across for, say, the accessory work. I haven't exactly worked that out yet, exactly how I'm going to do that, but I've never tried volumizing before, so I'd like to give it a go. I've always stuck with the other methods. Yeah, so hopefully that'll work well for me. If not, we'll find out. There's only one way to find out if something will work or won't work, and that's by doing it. If it doesn't, plans can always change. I'm a flexible person. I like to try new things for myself first before I try them with my clients. I tend to work on the premise, like I said before, if I find something that works for someone, you stick with it till it stops working and then change it. Although variety is the spice of life, and when it comes to lifting, that does ring true, but too much variety is also detrimental, or too much variety too often is detrimental. A bit of variety worked in when things start to go a little bit stale is how you keep your lifting life spicy. So next week will be the comp roundup. Unfortunately, that will be a little bit later in the week, as my brother has given me a lovely gift of one night at the Links Lady Bay Hotel Thanks, Mr. Ross. So we shelled out for another one so we could spend 2 nights down there after the competition, as it's a lovely place. And I'm sure we're going to very enjoy that, me and my beautiful partner Sharon. What I will be doing though is there'll be I'll put up my comp results and everything, and probably the videos of my comp from the day on Instagram. What you can do though in the meantime is, if you're down that way, you can come on in, have a bit of a look, see what the comp's like. If you want to watch me lift, and everyone that's there, come and watch them lift. That would be great. As I think I said earlier in the podcast, they're a great bunch of people. It's a fantastic day. Everyone has a great time. And there's normally a coffee van and a food van there of some description. But once again, you're down Seaford, so there's plenty of stuff around. And where is the comp again? It is at Southern Strength and Conditioning in Seaford. It is the GPC Cup. Lifting starts at 11 and goes to about 4, so there's a good amount of viewing there for you. It is so much fun. The atmosphere is absolutely amazing. It's great, and everyone there is really friendly and easy to talk to. And yeah, they're just all around great days. So please come on down. Alrighty. Once again, if you've liked what you've heard here today, please like, subscribe, and share me around. I would really, really appreciate some comments and some feedback on these videos from you in the comments area. It'll help me as well work out where I'm going to go with other videos and stuff. I'll just keep putting stuff up. If there's something you particularly want to ask me a question about, I'll try and answer the question in a short video as well, and give you a shout out at the same time. So please comment. Thank you to everyone that subscribed this week. Like I said earlier, I've quadrupled my number of subscribers from 2 to 10, which is sorry, that's not quadrupled, that's 5 times the amount. My God, don't ask me to do your accounting, you'll be a poor person. 5 times the amount of subscribers that I had from the start of the week to the end of the week, which is absolutely fantastic, and I thank you immensely for that. Keep doing that. Lastly but not leastly, I am a coach. If you would like to come and train with me, I offer in-person training from my gym at Brahma Lodge. Also, I do online coaching. Please, if you do need some online help or you just want some advice, contact me. My online coaching is only about $20 a week if you want that. If you just want to ask me a question or you just want some advice about something, ask me. I'm not going to try and charge you money for it. If you just got a question you want answered, I'm happy to answer a question for you. Please ask. But if you are thinking about training with me, all my contacts are in the socials down below in the description area as per normal. So please contact me. Until then, my lovely friends, I will see you next week at some stage or on the digital highways. But most of all, have fun, stay safe, and stay strong for life.